today we're going to be talking about Spanishdict. If you guys don't know what Spanishdict is basically a dictionary. That's the most basic definition. When I first started using it, I pretty much only used it as a dictionary because I didn't know all of the features that Spanishdict offered, and I didn't know that they were free. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing some of the features that Spanishdict has and how they can help you as a Spanish learner to increase your Spanish speaking abilities, but also to practice things like conjugation and grammar. And like I said, it's all in the app. You can also do the same things on your computer as well if you do prefer it that way. The first page that I have on Spanishdict is just the home page. It's just kind of an interface where you can see everything all at once instead of going into individual tabs. And of course, this is the dictionary part. This is the simplest part that Spanishdict has. So you can look up a word in either English or Spanish and they will find you an equivalent in either language. What I like about Spanishdict as well is that when you look up a word, if it's used in a certain country or a certain region, it will actually list that. And then also they will list the different meanings of that word. So for instance, the word cold in Spanish, it's going to come up for frío, but also possibly resfriado, like the illness, like having a cold. So it's very interesting. I think it's a very nice layout because it gives you a whole bunch of different definitions of just one word, and you can choose and see which ones mean the ones that you're looking for or the ones that you have questions about. The next tab is the Learn Spanish tab. This is a newer feature, I believe. When I was using this before, I don't think it always had this feature, so I believe they're testing out something new. In this tab, they usually just go over very simple grammar lessons. It's very interactive. They have you choose which piece would fit which sentence and things like that. So it's very straightforward, it's very easy, and it saves your progress as you go along. So you don't have to worry if you lose internet connection or if you just accidentally exit out, you didn't mean to. It saves your progress so you can go back in at any time and pick up right where you left off. The next tab is vocabulary. I really like this tab because Spanishdict has a bunch of lists of vocabulary that have different subjects, different terms, just a whole bunch of different things, and I think it's a really good way to study vocabulary. A lot of you guys know that I like studying vocabulary using Quizlet, but unfortunately Quizlet is not free anymore. If you guys aren't aware of that, it's not free. I believe it's like $30 or almost $40 something for a year of access to Quizlet. You can no longer do certain features like the tests and stuff like that. Some of the features that I really like using to study vocabulary. So Spanishdict is also a great option because it's free and you have access to all of the lists. You open up the vocabulary tab, you can right away see my list. Those are just lists that I've been using, that I've studied from, and they kind of save them like that. Usually the top list that you have is the list that you last studied. So if I just go into like general vocabulary, I see the list of words that it has. This is just, like I said, this is just general vocabulary. These are words that I may look up or words that I just come across from Spanish Book of the Day, which Spanishdict does have. I'll mention that later. And I just want to add it to a list so I don't forget it. So I just put them in general vocabulary. So this is not a list that Spanishdict created. It's a list that I decided to make of words that I just may come across. So when I'm in the list, I can go ahead and hit quiz, and it'll give me a quiz on the vocabulary. You can also hear how the word is pronounced as well if that helps you learn. Choose the type of quiz that you would like to do as well. You can either do a speaking quiz, a writing quiz, or a multiple choice quiz. If you are unsure of a word, it will of course give you a hint so you can try and figure it out for yourself. If you don't know the word, you can just type in whatever answer you want and hit next, and it'll tell you the word and it'll show you how to spell it so you remember it for next time. If I wanted to add a word, I would just hit add word in the bottom left corner. I do like the vocabulary list just because there's so many different topics. They even have regional slangs if you guys are interested in that as well. So I highly recommend that you check out this section of Spanishdict if you're looking to increase your vocabulary. The next section is the grammar section. This is probably one of my favorite uses of Spanishdict just because it's so easy and so convenient to use. So Spanishdict has a bunch of interactive grammar lessons, and I really like how they're laid out. They're laid out from the introduction level all the way to advanced level, and they cover pretty much all of the grammar topics. As you guys can see in the intermediate section, I actually completed all of them. I actually like to do these randomly. Sometimes I do them every day, sometimes I do them randomly, And I just like to practice my grammar because it's always good to brush up on. It's always good to remind myself, hey, this is where I need to use this. Because like I said, it's always a learning journey. It's always a process that pretty much never ends. So I like to always just give myself a quick refresher with the grammar page because it's super quick and easy to use. One of the grammar topics that I really have a hard time with sometimes, like most people, is the predicate versus the imperfect. With Spanishdict, I can easily open up that lesson for free and I can scroll down and read the explanation as to when to use the imperfect and when to use the predicate with examples and also keywords and key terms. After having reading that, I'm able to participate in exercises that Spanishdict has provided to go along with the lesson to make sure that I understood all of the material. So I really like having that interactive piece just to make sure that I'm not just reading, but I'm actually understanding the information that's being read and I can apply it to different scenarios and situations. With Spanishdict, you're also able to access Word of the Day, which I think is really cool. And if you have your notifications on for Spanishdict, you'll receive a notification for the Word of the Day each morning or each night, whatever time you set it to. And I just think that's super helpful. It's just another way to quickly but effectively learn vocabulary because it just pops up in your little notification bar. You can see it. And then you can also click on it and it'll take you to the definition of what it means. If you happen to miss a day, that's perfectly okay because you'll always have access to Word of the Day. You can access the Word of the Day and the vocabulary list. They usually have them separated by month, so Word of the Day for August, for September, for October, and so on. And if you happen to miss a day, like I said, you can always go back and check. If you want to check out last month's Word of the Days or even a few months ago, what they had for month of the day back in, I don't know, May, you could do that if you were interested because you didn't get to the month of May. And I think that's a really cool way to kind of study vocabulary because like I said, it's just one word a day. The last tab, which is super helpful, is the conjugation drill tab. I love doing conjugation drills just because it's a struggle sometimes when learning Spanish to memorize all of the different conjugations. So for the conjugation drill, I'm able to choose the preferences as far as the tense, if I just want to practice the predicate or do I want to practice the imperfect. I can also select to practice several tenses at once, so if I want to practice the predicate and the imperfect together, that would be an option as well. Or if I just wanted to practice the imperfect because I struggle with that the most, I could just practice and focus on that as well. They also have the categories as verbs as well for the AR, ER, and IR, as well as them changing verbs. You can choose which ones you want to practice. If you struggle more with the IR or the ER verbs, you may want to select those two. You could practice them both at the same time. Or if you would rather just practice one or the other, you're able to do that as well. You can also change the pronouns that you would like to focus on. So if you would like to focus on the yo pronoun, the tú, the usted, or él or ella, or the nosotros, you could select all of them or you could just select one. I always select all of them and I uncheck the vosotros form just because I never use that in my day-to-day speech. But if that is something that you practice and you use in your day-to-day speech, it might be worth turning on and practicing. You can also choose to study which verbs you would like to practice with. Spanishdict has a bunch of different lists of verbs that you can practice with. And last but not least, you're able to choose the length of your questionnaire or your exam that you would like to take. If you'd like to start small, you can do 5 to 10 verbs, or you can increase it by doing 25 to 30, however many you feel comfortable with. And I hope this video has helped you all, and I hope that you will all try Spanishdict and you try new features if there are some that you haven't heard of. Remember to keep practicing your Spanish and you'll be fluent in no time. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.